Good afternoon. So the question that I'm asking right now is, where do we go from here after we leave this place? We heard before, we're talking about a revolution. So I think while we're standing here, the question is also, what part do each of us want to play in this revolution? Yesterday, we mentioned that reparations is about healing and repair. More particularly, the inner repair we need as individuals, and inner repair we need as a community. We've talked about the genocide, the killings of black people, which still continues today in all different forms. And until we as black people are able to respond collectively, swiftly, there is no justice, no healing, and no reparation. So part of the things that we are doing is to organize ourselves, building networks and building relationships with ourselves, sustainable relationships. Sustainable relationships, such as these which we are building today. The genocide, the killing of black people is a big problem. And it's a problem which we should not ignore until we are touched by the catastrophe. We shouldn't wait till our sons, till our daughters, till our children are affected. Right now we have the case in Hamburg of Brother Mbobda, who was killed last year in the university hospital. He had gone there voluntarily and had refused to take medication. His legitimate reasons for refusing to take medications being that he had developed an allergy. And Brother Mbobda has a brother who died 2 years earlier from a medication allergy. On that Sunday morning, his situation had worsened, as the doctors told us, and she decided to have him sectioned. That means to keep him in the hospital even if he wants to leave. Having him sectioned also means controlling the medication he takes. To do this, you need a court order. The court order had not been given, and Brother Mbobda was sitting outside smoking a cigarette. Some of the hospital staff approached him with medication, and he said no, he was not having the medication. They called for security officials who also asked him to take the medication, which he refused. Eyewitness accounts, several eyewitnesses account to the fact that he was then forcefully put to the ground, kicked in the back, they piled on top of him, and he collapsed, and we believe he died on the spot. The traumatized patients who were there on the scene called the police. Brother Mbobda was kept on life support machines after they had tried to resuscitate him for over an hour, which means the brain death had probably set in place. We believe to cover up they had kept him on life support machine for an additionally 5 days, excuse me. Now what happened? What happened? What value do Black lives have? What happened on that day? We had to find his family. His family was not informed. His sister rushed and traveled to Hamburg, and the hospital officials were too busy having a conference on how to deal with the catastrophic incident. They had no time to talk to her. We were all these days in the intensive station without any proper information on how did this occur. After this, it's always the same procedure in different cases, because it's not an isolated case. There have been such killings, and the killings do not happen only in the States. They happen in Germany, they happen in the UK. And already even the cover-up and the way such killings are treated has also a structure. So part of the structure is that the body is not released until decomposition has started taking place, so that by the time the family got the body, a second autopsy on the body was no more possible. Part of the cover-up is that, as in the cases which you have heard, a restraint, a forced restraint in the belly-prone position is known to result in death due to asphyxia, which is a form of suffocation, as the body does not have the freedom it needs to breathe, with bodies lying on top. The rib cage has no means of expanding. So according to the guidelines for mental health practices for restrainment, this form of fixation, of restraint, is to be used only as a last resort and only when specific cautionary measures are in place. And this was not the case with Brother Tonu Mbobda. There has been an ongoing outrage, there has been a campaign asking for clarification on this case. Why is it so important? It's important because there is a stereotypic perception of fear when it comes to dealing with black male bodies, which is based on racism, so that we often find that security personnel, police officers, do not apply de-escalation and find it totally normal to throw black bodies on the floor, to be violent, to use excessive force. This is very important to note, and to go against the racial profiling and these forms of treatment. Because right there on the spot, innocent people are being treated as worse than criminals, because there is a court of law. And even in case of a crime, it is not normal to be under that form of treatment. So it has often happened that you're walking by and you see policemen standing and a black man is on the floor, my question is, what do you do? Do you walk past and say he must have done something wrong? Because this is what I heard when a brother was shot at in Hamburg 5 years ago. He had refused to show his passport to a civilian policeman who had not identified himself. And when he asked him for his passport, he said, "Why do you want to see my passport?" And refused. And was shot at. And when we tried to raise awareness in the community, we often heard that he must have done something wrong. So coming back to what do we do when we go from here, I think that is the very first thing to notice. To note that when a brother, a sister is on the floor, there is no legitimation for that. That we stand and we are present and we show some resistance. Resistance is not always putting yourself into danger. Resistance is, for example, calling for more people to be on the scene, for more eyewitnesses. It's also about recording. It's also about talking and trying to get the particulars from the person who is on the floor. At that time, when this happened in the UKE, the patients immediately intervened. They were shouting, they called the police and did the right thing. And yet, they were under a lot of oppression. And repression. They were asked to delete immediately whatever video footage they had on their phones. Brother Mbobda, as we have heard from his friends and from his family, was a physically healthy man. He went to the gym regularly. He played basketball. And yet, the autopsy is claiming that he had a congenital heart defect, which is the cause of death. And right now, the state prosecutor has decided that in this case, charges will not be filed, as he sees no wrongdoing in the actions of the security personnel. According to him, Brother Mbobda was the aggressor. He was the aggressor, and the security officials acted to save his life and defending themselves, which is against everything that the security personnel have told us. This brings us back to the point of why it is important that we collectively pay attention and collectively organize. Bringing us back to the first step where we talked about exposing the truth. Because there is a problem. There is a psychotic dissonance in the justice system. And it has always been so that the truth is often not told. So which means we have to tell our own stories. We have to do our own investigations. And we have to demand that we are heard. As the Black Community Coalition for Justice and Self-Defense, we ask you to please follow the case. You can follow us on the website Black Community Hamburg, on Facebook, Black Community Hamburg, Justice for Mbobda. So we ask you to please pay attention to the case because it affects us all. And it's not just an individual case, but it's a case which shows the whole structural racism which needs to be tackled and fought.